Today, Hillary Clinton revealing her official economic plan.
You can't solve our problems without economic growth. Growth creates jobs and prosperity, and that is the glue that binds our society together.
So, Stuart, you say there's a clear choice. Hillary Clinton wants to make us more like Europe. Donald Trump wants to make us grow again.
That's my opinion.
With all sorts of stuff. What's the matter with Europe?
What's the matter with Europe?
What's the matter with Europe for the folks at home? You remember you're a refugee.
I am a refugee from European socialism. It's not a sustainable model. They're bankrupt. Many of those societies are bankrupt.
They're super
They've had no growth, virtually no growth, for many, many years. Their population is actually declining, and it's aging. That is not a sustainable economic model. It's just not. It might sound in terms of growth and expansion. Donald Trump would lower taxes for individuals and for corporations. He would cut regulation. He would encourage domestic energy expansion and output. That's a recipe for vigorous growth in the economy. And look, they're in decline.
What I've heard people say, they like Donald Trump's plan because he takes it from 4 brackets to 3 brackets. Everyone gets benefits because everyone's going to have their taxes lowered.
Trump wants to cut taxes for the super rich. Well, we're not going there, my friends. I'm telling you right now, we're going to write fairer rules for the middle class, and we are going to raise taxes on the middle class. Trump wants to cut taxes for the super rich. Well, we're not going there, my friends. I'm telling you right now, we're going to write fairer rules for the middle class, and we are going to raise taxes on the middle class.
The purpose of the SIP is to, quote, provide accurate and comprehensive information about the income and program participation that has constantly been screamed down, that you constantly be called xenophobic, racist, Nazi, whatever. Well, it turns out that intuition, that instinct that you had, yeah, it's correct.
When do we beat Mexico at the border? They're laughing at us, at our stupidity. And now they're beating us economically. They are not our friend.
Black people and white people can't be unified for Trump? That's bullcrap. Trump refuses to denounce the KKK.
How do you feel about the recent endorsement from David Duke?
I didn't even know he endorsed me. David Duke endorsed me? Okay. All right. I disavow. Okay? Yes. All right. Yes.
In the absence of the truth, bullcrap prevails. So here come the truth jokers. Look at what's been going on. All the people are coming out the dang Walking Dead. You know, the people who don't pay attention to politics until the election cycle comes around. And they get so emotional. They get all into it, and, you know, they pick their sides and they fight against each other, but in reality, they ain't getting nowhere with it. So you're falling for the little racist angle. You're fighting each other. You're ripping up the signs. And, oh yeah, let me go to this. This is something here. How is it that this little fake joker right here comes out and endorses Donald Trump? Now, elections are all about perception. So when you see this guy endorsing Donald Trump, you say, oh, well, Donald Trump is a racist because he's endorsing Donald Trump. But here's the thing. What is KKK? Well, the KKK was created by the Democrats. KKK still belongs to the Democrats. So this guy right here knows that if he comes out and throws his support behind Donald Trump, it's going to get the reaction of this. That's the only reason why he's coming out and doing that. Lyndon B. Johnson did the same thing in the 1964 election. He made an ad saying that Barry Goldwater was endorsed by the KKK. But how is he going to say that when the KKK is a democratic entity? They are the prop, and I'm talking about the KKK. The Democrats are the most racist party in history, the only party in American history to kill black people because they wanted them to vote Democrat. Lyndon B. Johnson said, I'll have those N-words voting Democrat for the next 200 years. When he was talking about N-words, he was talking about black people. And black people, they still vote Democrat.
Neither have I. You don't know me. You're fucking a white male. So?
Today, our country has lost a true American original, my friend and mentor, Robert C. Byrd. Senator Byrd was a man of surpassing eloquence and nobility.
There are white. I've seen a lot of white in my time.
I admired his tireless advocacy for his West Virginia constituents, his fierce defense of the Constitution and the traditions of the Senate, and his passion for a government that improves the lives of the people it serves.
There are white. I've seen a lot of white in my time.
They mentioned that he once had a fleeting association with a Ku Klux Klan. And what does that mean? I'll tell you what it means. He was a country boy from the hills and hollows of West Virginia. He was trying to get elected.
As Secretary of State, I continued to rely on his advice and counsel. Robert C. Byrd led by the power of his example, and he made all of us who had the honor of serving as his colleagues better public servants and better citizens. Robert C. Byrd left such a legacy.
We have given her $20,000 anonymously for her campaign fund. She is friends with the Klan. The KKK endorses Hillary Clinton. About illegal immigrants. She doesn't. She's acting like she does so she can get into office. She's a Democrat. The Klan has always been a democratic organization.
People in the streets.
Hitler not remind you of that? Does Trump not remind you of that?
No, explain to me how Trump is like Hitler. Mass abortion.
There isn't any sensible approach except to do what we need to do simultaneously. Secure our borders with technology, personnel, physical barriers if necessary in some places, and we need to have tougher employer sanctions, and we need to try to incentivize Mexico to do more. If they've committed transgressions of whatever kind, they should be obviously deported.
Sessions went on to explain that Obama's immigration policy is killing wages, particularly for immigrants and minority groups, because the flow of labor is so large, it floods the labor market and depresses wages. Of the Daily Caller, Donald Trump is going to do better with Hispanics and African Americans because he's talking about things that will really make their wages go up.
I do not support gay marriage.
I live in New York. New York is a place with lots of gays, and I think it's great.
I'd be shorter if we mass abortion. So obeying the law. Donald Trump wants to obey the laws on immigration. Donald Trump wants to obey.
And basically fuck with the one person who stands in the way of us being ruled by Donald Trump.
Just before I came in here, we thought we'd do a little search in our files, and I do notice that a William Mayer gave a Clinton-affiliated entity $1 million. Now, it's a William Mayer in LA, where at the time the money came. Perhaps you would like to comment. Is that you?
Yeah, I don't think.
For the KKK, Hillary Clinton is our choice.
Arnold Schwarzenegger served as the governor of California from 2003 to 2011, and he joins me now. Governor Schwarzenegger, welcome back to Meet the Press.
Thank you, Chuck. It's wonderful to be back.
You know, this has been a year for outsider candidates. It's obviously something you're familiar with. Many people have made some comparisons of your candidacy in 2003 and Donald Trump's today. What similarities do you see, and what are the differences?
Well, I think that, I don't really study that much of, what is the difference between Donald Trump and my candidacy. I study much more the field polls and USC Schwarzenegger polls that we have just done about what do the people really think and what is the main interest in the people's minds when we have our election now on June 6th. So I mean that is really, or June 7th, I should say. This is really my interest, and this is why we did the polls, and this is why we really came up with these wonderful studies, and they're quite interesting. I think when you look at it, the important thing that comes out of that is that 69% of the people want our politicians to work together, and I think this should be a message to Democrats and Republicans to work together. And this is why people are very upset about Washington today.
You know, I want to play something that you said in 2004 about what made you a Republican, and then find out if that still holds today. Here it is.
Then I heard Nixon speak. He was talking about free enterprise, getting the government off your back, lowering the taxes and strengthening the military. Listening to Nixon speak sounded more like a breath of fresh air. I said to my friend, I said, what party is he? My friend said, he's a Republican. I said, then I am a Republican.
Can you comfortably say that today with Donald Trump as the standard bearer for the Republican Party?
I comfortably can say that I am a Republican, and I always will be a Republican, because the Republican Party has a big tent, and there was not always things that I agreed with, or they didn't agree with me many times. But the fact of the matter is that's the philosophy. Everything that you've heard is exactly the same. And I think that, but what is more important about it is not what do I think and about Donald Trump. We have to talk about the bigger issue, and this is what do the people really feel. And the fascinating thing about the poll was that both Democrats and Republicans found it most important to really improve the economy and to create more jobs. They were also in sync when it comes to Social Security, to save Social Security, and to really take care of public schools. And they are concerned about the public education in general. And those are the kind of issues that Democrats and Republicans are concerned about. Of course, they have different ways of solving those problems, and depending on if they're Democrat or Republican.
Well, let me just ask it straightforward. Are you ready to support Donald Trump for president? I know you were a John Kasich supporter. You went and campaigned for him. Are you going to support Trump? And will you go to the convention in Cleveland?
Well, Chuck, as I said, to me the most important thing is now to talk about the latest poll numbers and how the people of California feel and how the people in America basically feel. Because I think it is important that we go and bring both of the parties together. The more we go to the left, the more we go to the right. I believe of what President Eisenhower said. Politics is like the road. The left and the right represents the gutter, and the middle is drivable. And I think this is exactly where the action is in the middle. I've seen it when I was governor of the state of California.
Yeah.
I have seen it firsthand that only when we brought Democrats and Republicans together, we could really solve very important issues. I remember that's how we really started rebuilding California and invested $60 billion in infrastructure. That's when we go and created the AB 32, where we made a commitment to reducing our greenhouse gases by 25% by the year 2020, where we updated our renewables.
Right.
And all that great stuff started happening when both of the parties worked together.
Governor, I can't help but notice, though, you're avoiding saying anything about Trump. You're not saying you're for him. You're not saying you're against him. You're trying to stay out of it. I get it. But is that what you're trying to do here? By you not saying anything, you're actually making a statement.
No, not really, because I try to stay focused. Remember, there's one thing that I've learned over the years when I promoted bodybuilding and fitness and my movies and politics and issues and so on, is to stay focused. So today I want to talk about our poll numbers and our polls that we have taken, the field polls that the USC Schwarzenegger Institute released this last week.
Right.
And I want to talk about that because that is really important for the state of California. It's important that the people know how they feel and in which direction to go. And it also will help the candidates to listen to the people carefully and not to deviate from that and to really talk about those very important issues. Since we have the primaries coming up in California, I think the presidential candidates, whoever they are, have to address those issues.
And finally, I want to ask you a question about your native country, Austria, because what was fascinating is that you could argue that they had an election which that came down to somebody from the far left, maybe similar to a Bernie Sanders, and someone from the far right, a nativist of sorts. And nobody was happy with their choices. All of a sudden, this country is experiencing an appeal of a socialist and the appeal of a nativist. What lessons do you think Americans should take away from this?
I think that it is pretty much in many different countries I've seen that they're looking for an outsider, and people are dissatisfied with the status quo, and people are dissatisfied basically with the action that is being created in those capitals, that politicians are not keeping their promises and politicians don't solve the problems. And this is why you see in our poll numbers that 69% of the people say the politicians have to work together. That is the most important thing, and they have to come to a compromise. And in Washington, not much is getting done. Some of it is getting done, but not much. And I think that to spend billions of dollars on that capital, and it is the worst investment because nothing is getting done. So therefore, the people are looking for something else, and they don't know where to turn to. And so this is what you see in America, and this is what you have seen in Austria, and this is what you see in Germany, and this is what you see in France, and you see this all over the place.
All right, I'm going to ask you one last time. Do you plan on publicly saying whether you'll be for Trump?
I will make an announcement before the election, you can be sure of that. But I will do it my way, which is always an unusual way. As you remember that I announced my candidacy for governor on the Tonight Show. So that was very unusual, and I would do exactly the same thing also with the endorsement. So I would study the various different candidates, what they represent and all this stuff, and I would then make up my mind, and I would then make the endorsement. So I will make an endorsement, but it will not be here because then that will be the headline.
Well, and I guess you're saying we're too usual of a place to do this. We're not unusual enough. Anyway, Governor Schwarzenegger, it's a pleasure, sir. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you very much for
Hey, NBC News fans, thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Subscribe by clicking on that button down here and click on any of the videos over here to watch the latest interviews, show highlights, and digital exclusives. Thanks for watching.
What do you think about the mosque controversy?
I think we need more mosques.
Why?
So we can show the world that we are not bigots.
But don't you know what happens in countries where Muslims rule?
I don't care. We need more hope and change.
That is crazy.
There are too many Christian fundamentalists trying to impose their views on us through government.
What?
They are trying to take over America. We need more Muslims to show the world how multicultural we are.
But don't you read about what is happening in Europe because of rampant Muslim immigration?
You must be a bigot.
Please. Let's talk about the issues. These events are important.
No. You should not be allowed to speak. You must have supported Bush. You're a hate monger.
But I'm trying to have a dialogue with you about the issues.
Your hate speech should be banned.
But don't you know that Sharia law is being implemented in many European countries with large Muslim immigrant populations?
I don't care. You're a warmonger.
But in many European cities, there are now no-go zones where non-Muslims and police cannot enter.
Islam is a religion of peace. We should welcome all of them.
Yes, but don't you think we should carefully screen which immigrants come here from Muslim countries?
No. You spread hate. I will report you for hate speech.
But don't you think Muslims need to reform their religion to embrace all cultures and renounce violence among them?
No, Muslim immigrants should come. We are a nation of immigrants.
But aren't you aware of the human rights abuses in many Muslim countries, where women don't have rights and are tortured?
No. Conservative Christians oppress women's rights because they don't want women to have abortions. You must be a radical right-winger.
I simply want to have a dialogue about the issues affecting the world.
I'm going to call campus security and have you arrested for hate speech.
No, I'm not condoning hatred towards Muslims. I'm simply addressing a global concern regarding the violence and their religion. There are many who want to destroy Israel and America.
You're a fascist.
Doesn't it feel like every time you want to have a sensible discussion about facts and reality and trends within society, particularly when it overlaps with any kind of politics, don't you feel like any time you want to have a sensible discussion, all of these hysterical brain parasite...
Have you heard him just say, like, what are the problems in America? Hillary can make a case because she'll say something that's actually political. This guy don't even see one. Tell me the issues in America. What are the issues in America? First off, people like me are dying. The bank's running everything. Anybody else want to get in on this? I know Donald Trump wants to bring jobs back to America. You say jobs are an issue. Donald Trump says he wants to bring them back. I didn't say nothing about a job. How? He quit sending jobs to China. We have companies going to Mexico. What are you talking about? Are you even listening? I said people like me are dying. American companies. You want to know why everything you pick up says made in China? That's because other companies devalue their currency, and so companies can make a greater profit overseas. Donald Trump wants to bring it back. Donald Trump is capitalist. This is America. Capitalism.
Capitalism is people who cannot exist without exploitation.
Didn't think so. Didn't think
Let's
so.
bring it back to black people being killed by police.
Okay.
What has Trump said about that?
What about white people being killed by police?
Fuck off!
That's not racist, though.
The junior senator from Alabama went on to predict that Trump can turn the economy around for those on the lowest rung of the economic ladder very quickly.